Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to The Owl House, Season 2, Episode 13? 13, yes. So, since we've come back off of hiatus and gone into Season 2B, the second half of the season, we have had two knockout bangers. We have had two episodes that have been just not only fantastic, but important. Two huge episodes that have really pushed forward the story. And to be fair, when we've got as little left as we do of this entire series, we've only got the rest of season 2 and then a shortened season 3. It's like, yeah, they kind of have to do this. They kind of have to get to the point. And I feel really bad that they've been pushed to that. But I trust that Dana and the crew are going to give us their best nonetheless. So we got two very good, very important episodes. We got to actually see Philip. That is massive. And we found out he's kind of a dick. But we also saw that very clearly, very obviously, Luz and Lilith going back into the past through the time pools. Oh yeah, that very much caused Philip to not necessarily to become Belos, but it very much put him on that path more so than he had been beforehand. And it really just kind of cemented things. And their involvement very blatantly, obviously, directly affected where the Boiling Isles are now. Because that flashback was from the quote-unquote savage ages that Belos supposedly saved the Isles from. Yet, from all we could see, it was quite nice. It was very happy, very enjoyable. Everybody was in good spirits. They were using their wild magic to help themselves and others. It just seemed great. But Belos also seemed to have goals that he did not tell us. And it's not about getting back to the human world or anything. There's something else going on that was hinted at, and I'm wondering what it is. There's also the question of where was Philip's brother during all of this, and it's pretty notable that he mentions that well, he doesn't exactly say it, but it's blatantly obvious through what he does say and what he talks about that he is not afraid of making sacrifices for what he perceives as the greater good, for his own goals. I kind of think it's implied that his brother was one of those sacrifices. And if Hunter is one of these clone creatures, I forgot exactly what they're called, I'm thinking Hunter might be a possible future sacrifice as well, at least planned as such. There's a lot going on here that we don't know about, though. Things can change. I mean, definitely did with V's introduction, after we originally thought, based on the entire Shadow Luz and other Luz stuff that was presented beforehand, we thought was going to be a bad guy. But no, V is like the cutest cinnamon roll and must be protected. So, who knows? I don't want Belos to be redeemed, though. Like, that's one thing I want to say. I don't want Belos to be redeemed. I want him to go out as a villain. I don't care if he's given some kind of understandable motivation. That's fine, but I don't want him to be redeemed. I want him to be a villain through and through. I think we need that. And I think it would just better suit this story. So that's amongst my hopes going forward. We haven't seen Hunter this season. But to be fair, or in this second half of the season, but to be fair, we haven't seen a lot because we are only 2 episodes in. We did get plenty of good stuff, though, and I definitely think we're going to continue to do so. I know nothing about this episode. I haven't been spoiled on it, mostly because I am recording this on Saturday and everything, but I've been away all day playing D&D, actually, so I haven't had the opportunity to be spoiled. Um, so, yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what more we get from this episode. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Another really damn good episode, and another one that really progressed things. I'm kind of thinking that this entire second half of the season is going to be like this. That the entire second half is going to continuously progress either character arcs or major story arcs. Because 3 episodes in to the second half of the season now, and each one has done this. I think that's a big deal. So this episode obviously focused mostly on Willow and Hunter, but there was a B plot with Luz and Amity, so let's talk about that to start things off. So Luz and Amity are starting a Luzora book club. Not Luzora, Azora. An Azora book club, and Amity comes to Luz saying, "Oh, the author's going to be doing a book signing." So they're like, she's confused. It's like, wait, no, the author's human, and Amity's like, no, the author's a witch. They look at their books. There's a mystery afoot because the books have discrepancies. So they decide to go to the book signing and find out together, coming up with all of these different theories along the way, which is, it's like fun. It's like, obviously, you know, fans theorizing about a show, a game, a movie, yada yada, a book series, obviously. They get there and the book signing's canceled, and so they chase after who appears to be the author, but eventually find it to only be Tiny Nose. Or what was it? Tenella Noza? Like, it, obviously just an extended version of Tiny Nose. Which, I love Luz's reaction. It's like, excuse me? She had a name? And it's like, that's funny. I can dig that. But yeah, we find out that it's been a scam, that the books are from the human world and the pictures have just been edited, are just being edited by Tibbles and Methalmule, and that Tiny Nose is just basically acting as like this public figure to act as the author and everything. So it's like, oh, okay, 3 characters just kind of randomly put together, but it's like, I don't think it doesn't work necessarily. It's just okay. And by the end, they decide, Amity and Luz decide to make the club a writing club as well, which is cute. It was a cute B plot. Some cool stuff with Amity and Luz hanging out, just geeking out over these books and over their little fan theories. Plus, we got to see Basha put in her place, and that's always a great thing. So, yeah, good B plot. Let's talk about the A plot. So we have 2 sides to this. Willow is trying to create a flying derby team, a flyer derby team. It's like roller derby, just with flying. I guess in this world, it's like, it's just another one of their sports, like Grudgeby, which was, again, mentioned in this episode. And it basically looks like a kind of capture the flag thing. You take the flags from your opponents, put them on the pole. Whoever gets all the flags up first wins. It seems like they can use magic and things, but you probably can't, like, actively, aggressively attack your opponent. That's probably part of the rules. That's kind of the vibes I'm getting from it. Seems super simple compared to something like Grudgeby, and Willow is really into it. We see a number of characters we've seen before join the team, and Willow's big thing in this episode is her trying to, you know, run something, because she's always been seen as half a witch Willow and everything. And so she wants to actually have not only control, but she wants to kind of be respected as the leader of something. She wants to just have that kind of level of just, how do I put it? Of clout in a way. In a way. But not like out of any like desire for power or anything. Just out of a desire for just kind of being on the other side of things. Obviously, Gus is with her and everything, and Gus is really great in this episode. A great, just support system for her, and I love it. And then we have Hunter, who's just kind of trying to prove himself. The Coven leaders are ignoring him and just not taking him seriously, especially Darius. And so, on kind of the orders from Darius, he decides to go to the school and recruit some kids for the Emperor's Coven. At first, he doesn't really know what he's doing. He's clearly having a hard time, but he decides to befriend Willow and the team to try and see if they're, the best and the brightest. He ends up joining in their game and genuinely makes friends with them. And this is very important for his character, because even though he didn't have like a full redemption this episode, we did get the starts of that. And we knew it was coming. We knew Hunter was going to be redeemed. There was a lot of setup for that already, so it's not a surprise, but we're definitely getting the setup for that in this episode, and I love it. So we see them have a fun time during the game, and they win their game, and so the team gets to be a thing for a school club. And Hunter decides to reveal himself. Some guards are sent by Darius, and obviously everyone is taken aback and horrified by the truth of Hunter being the Golden Guard and everything, and, capturing them and putting them in a cell and everything, and trying to force them to join the Emperor's Coven against their will. And at first he doesn't seem to notice what's wrong, but after Darius comes to collect them and Steve has some things to say, he realizes he was in the wrong. Which, good, because he very much was, and very clearly wasn't realizing that at first. He just... It's because of how he was raised, clearly. He didn't understand because it's all he ever knew. He thinks the Emperor's Coven is this great thing. He doesn't understand how bad it is. I don't necessarily blame him for that. He's a victim of what basically amounts to his brainwashing. So it's definitely not his fault, but he does need to see that he was wrong about this. And luckily it seems that is the case. In the end, he ends up standing up against Darius and helping his friends escape, which Darius seems to respect, oddly enough. And I mentioned in the reaction, I don't know what to think about that, because Darius has very much been entirely antagonistic every time we've seen him, which hasn't been a lot, but still. Every time we've seen Darius, he's been entirely antagonistic. So to see him actually praising Hunter doing something, but much less turning against him, and clearly turning against the desires of Bellows, that much is clear. It's like, yeah, Darius said, it's like, oh, I was going to bring them back to the school anyways. That I never actually planned on bringing them into the Emperor's Coven. But still, like, he outright praised Hunter, saying, like, I wanted you to make friends outside of the Coven and everything, and, like, have a life outside. It's like, what? Okay, now I'm questioning everything we've kind of known about Darius, and I don't know what to think. I genuinely do not know what to think about this. Could Darius not really be fully loyal to Bellows either? I'm wondering about that now. And I genuinely do not know what the case is. But I can tell you it's intriguing. For sure, it's something I did not expect. And it's funny, because in the B plot, Luz and Amity are basically saying, like, oh, well, there was no big surprise here, like, no big reveal. I think Tibbles mentioned that. Like, there's so no big reveal to be seen here. And it's like, instead, we kind of got that with the A plot, with Hunter's side, with Darius. It wasn't a reveal per se, but it was a big surprise. So I guess we'll see how that ends up turning out in the future. But we got to see more of the Coven heads, though they didn't really have speaking roles or anything. We did see Rain with Snapdragon, so we are still seeing a continuation of that, even if it's just a tiny little minor thing. It's still fun to see. And we got some lore stuff here, that there was an original Golden Guard, that Hunter isn't the first one, which I don't know if we knew before. I don't think we did, but I mean, we might have. I might have just forgotten. It's possible with me. But on top of that, we find out that the original Golden Guard was Darius's mentor, which also makes his kind of development in this episode very interesting in and of itself. I'm just curious to see where this goes. We could make up a lot of theories about this, but I'm just going to see how it ends up going on my own. Well, with you guys joining, of course. But tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of The Owl House Season 2? And thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.